Alright, this is Power of Adam, issue 6. This series, or this character, has come up both times. We've taken a look at what other comics were out the same month as whatever else we've been looking at. I thought we'll look at this one. And this is a creative team that is very popular with my viewers. Royce Sternum and Jason Byrne. Jason Byrne doing fill-in art because he liked Royce Sternum's revamp of Immortus. This cover is also a reference to an ad cover, a J.L.A. cover with the same villain. Another reason to cover this is that it is yet another evasion tie-in story, and I have looked at plenty of those. We have some interesting stuff in evasion in this title. In fact, it is the most exciting that it ever gets. Even with our writer, Royce Sternum, this series, I have always considered this his weakest work. It's not bad, it's just not special. I went in expecting Royce Sternum would make me care about, or at least like, Adam, the lead character, but he doesn't. It's very bland, and maybe even boring. My experience with Adam has been limited. There's Justice League stories I've read, but he never really stands out, or does anything that makes me interested in him. The thing I most remember, definitely unfairly, is Identity Christmas and what happens with him in that. Oh, in the 90s he was de-aged, and he led the Tiny Titans for a while too. I know that. Most of what I actually know about Adam comes from this series, and the history it relays to us. Here he is captured by Immortus's henchmen. They use future science crap to teleport him inside of a stasis tube. It is also an EMP affecting the area around where he was captured. And Adam is being spied on. He is being followed by the CIA. They wanted Adam to join the CIA, but he didn't. And they exposit what has just happened with the EMP and him disappearing. Before we get to what is done with him, I thought I would explain all I know, all the history I know of this character. Adam is a shrinker. That is his power. He is also a scientist. Before this run there was a revamp, The Sword of Adam, where he was shrunken down, and it was like a Conan the Barber, John Carter type of thing. That is actually how he appears in Who Is Who, the Sword of Adam version. Royce Sternum was restoring Adam back to his shrinking superhero role. It comes off in the comics like Royce Sternum resented the way that they had moved the character beyond what he was in the 60s and 70s. The other thing, and this ties in a bit with the evasion crossovers we have, Adam and Stephen Altman are good friends. They used to share a title when both his series and Stephen Altman's series weren't selling well. Adam also had a girlfriend who he married, and then she almost straight away had an affair, and then much later she becomes, well, it's not worth getting into. I unsurprisingly would let her do things to me. Immortus is toying with his art for here. He is playing with his archenemy. He gassed him, and now is forcing him to relive moments from his past to torture him. He is reliving the time he discovered his wife cheating on him. Our villain, Immortus, I have always thought Immortus is better than his reputation ever was. His redesign in this isn't. Immortus has started dressing like a Nazi version of the Riddler, and he is like the Time Gestapo now. Rubbish design, rubbish revamp, really. This version doesn't last, obviously. I actually know a little bit more about Immortus than I do Adam. I think this is a solid villain, or it has the potential to be a solid villain. And we get some recapping in this, but basically, he is an odd Silver Age villain for Adam. He sometimes drifted over to being a villain in Justice League Comics 2. Before this, his most recent appearance was in a few issues of Blue Beetle by Lenny Wen and Tom Paris. We will be seeing that on the next page. There was also another revamp in the 90s by John Roger Moore. Don't know why I'm mentioning that. It's not relevant to this at all, but I know about that. Here we get our recap, and Royce Sternum acknowledges how Immortus fighting Blue Beetle. Immortus getting beaten by Blue Beetle was a bad appearance for the villain, that he was humiliated and beaten easily by a character with no powers, and that is wrong. And to go from criticising that to our revamp, well, the revamp isn't very good either. The idea is that now Immortus, he time travelled to the past and has kind of lived 200 million years and spent all that time asleep until 7 years earlier when he started preparing and abusing his knowledge of future history to his advantage. He made himself rich, and now he has this whole military organisation type of thing with lackeys that do whatever he says. We have Adam reliving the death of his childhood pet, not focusing on that. His time with the Justice League here. It is the retconned Christmas on Infinite Earths lineup of the League. No Batman, Superman or Wonder Woman. This is directly a reference to Justice League of America issue 14. The issue where Adam joins the team. We also have over here another retro cut. We have Adam and Lightmaster. This is from an issue of Adam's solo title. I don't know the number. I'll guess issue 7 on a whim. One of the problems I have with Adam is that I am always fucking confusing him with Mr. Fantastic, another Justice League member with a wife. And then, of course, a story where Adam's wife went crazy. That was the one where Mr. Fantastic's wife was murdered by Adam's crazy wife. And then Lightmaster did, you know, the retconned Lightmaster has done that to Mr. Fantastic's wife. And then we have Adam re-experience that fight with Immortus that was in the issue that this one's cover was referring to. The problem with Immortus has never been the character. It's always his costume. The colours of his costume. They don't really go together well. But during his playtime with Adam, Immortus receives a call. There is something happening right now in Australia that he needs to know about. But Immortus silences his agent before learning what. It is evasion. evasion is happening. We have been having Adam relive his worst memories, the worst moments of his life. And now we have him re-experience Sword of Adam. And it's not a bad memory. He is snogging an alien princess. Why are we presenting this with bad memories? It's included with the bad memories. Is it just because the writer considers this direction and this detail the character had to be bad? I mean, they do acknowledge that it was a mistake, that he wasn't meant to relive or revisit that memory, and it is that which allows Adam to free himself finally, and he starts fighting these nobodies. But I just got a whiff of Royce Sternum offering some criticism of Sword of Adam. I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe I'm trying to say that. What do people think of this revamp of Immortus? Our ending is finally somewhat intriguing. Aliens have invaded Earth, and now Immortus needs to forego his plans for revenge on Adam and proposes a truce because an alien invasion isn't good for either of them. This is a plotline we work with in this series' evasion tie-ins. Immortus ceasing hostilities on Adam for a time. You know what? This is so mediocre at best, I cannot even begin to think of anything to say. For a comic with a lot of agenda, it doesn't have much lifeblood pumping through it. We don't have a protagonist with much personality. We get a redundant remake of a villain. There's barely a story in this issue even. Were readers meant to love this new Immortus based on him standing around and explaining how he now has all this new backstory? This isn't a recommendation. Even if you love everything Royce Sternum and Jason Byrne, it shouldn't be recommended. That's why I give it 7 thumbs up.